orchards are really a family affair. The fact that you can be out here, that 3 family generations can be together doing something together, I think is worthwhile.
I'm Bonnie McAfee, and this is my husband David McAfee, and together we own County Line Orchard in Hobart, Indiana.
There's nothing that we do at this orchard that other people can't do. There's just nothing here that we have a patent on. You start an orchard by planting trees.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have trees there, you got to plant them. So we planted 1,300 of them. After a while, I got old and the trees grew, and so we had to sell the fruit. That's how we started.
At the time, I knew there were 3 kinds of apples. I knew there were yellow ones, red ones, and green ones. That was the extent of my knowledge of apples. We are now much more knowledgeable about apples than at that point, fortunately.
We have Gala from New Zealand, which is a wonderful apple. We have Jana Gold, we have Blushing Gold, we have Macintosh, we have a whole slew of those kind of apples.
A lot of people ask, how did you know what to do? And a lot of it was simply listening to our customers. For example, our customers started saying after about the 2nd year, why don't you have apple cider donuts? And we said, well, we're an apple orchard. Yeah, well, that goes with cider. Why don't you have donuts? Perhaps we should offer donuts. Well, now our donuts we'll stand in line for a long time for a dozen of our donuts.
We started out with a machine that made 50 dozen an hour, and people were standing in line at the end of the day to get donuts, and they were limited to 1 dozen. So we sold that machine, and we bought a machine that does 100 dozen donuts an hour. And now, by the evenings on Saturdays and Sundays, people are standing in line and are limited to 1 dozen donuts that they can purchase. Doing pumpkins is a natural fit in with the orchard. People are out here, and we planted an acre or 2 to start with. And matter of fact, I remember coming home from my job and going out into the mud-soaked field and grabbing pumpkins and bringing them up on Halloween night, and people were still buying them. And so the next year we planted a little more, and then a little more, and then a little more, and now we do 12 acres of pumpkins, and we build our house. Pumpkins were a natural outcropping of having people here, having kids here. It fits with what we do. And we have a 7-acre corn maze, and we have the American flag blowing in the breeze so that none of the stripes line up, and it's very challenging. And this is the first year we've had a big maze. We've had a lot of fun with the maze, and I expect it to be a standard part of what we do here. I think that the day will come when the maze and pumpkins and donuts will all be somewhat on a par for us. People do not want to go around and crawl around on their hands and knees and work hard on their day off, but to come out and spend some quality time with your family and communicate and pick some apples together and maybe get lost in a maze or see the little kids pet an animal or to have your picture taken in front of a 6-foot-high cornucopia, that's worth doing.
Teachers will tell us when they bring school kids out on field trips that my kids don't get to see grass, they don't get to walk on grass. One year we had a whole bunch of acorns falling from the oak trees. And the teachers said, is it okay if we pick some up? My kids have never seen acorns. It's just things that we take for granted that city kids don't know about.
There was a little kid here yesterday, about 5 years old, bright kid, who was telling me it takes 45 leaves to make an apple, who was telling me about pollination, who was telling me about the bud underneath the apple, so you should twist it off so you don't take next year's apple. Now, he was a bright kid, but he came here and he sucked that up just like a sponge. People are generations removed from the farm, and you can't go to Grandpa's farm anymore or Uncle's farm anymore, and yet people like to do that. And that is one of the things that we knew, and one of the things that we based what we did on. And so we make it possible to visit the farm. And they can pet the animals, and they can see the animals in a kind of a natural setting. They can take a ride out on a tractor and wagon. They can pick a pumpkin, or they can pick apples, and they can have a day at the farm. And that has worked well for us.